Today, we are breaking down everything you need to know about autoflowers, what they are, where they came from, and why they're so useful for growers in limited spaces. Let's get into it, but before we do, today's video is brought to you by Real Growers Grow Dots, the easiest way to feed your high-value plants. You mix grow dots in once at the beginning of your grow, and they feed your plants all the way to harvest. You don't have to worry about nutrient burn or nutrient lockout. Grow Dots does all the hard work for you. Check them out over at realgrowers.com. And while you're there, use coupon code Scotty420 to get 20% off your first order. Now let's get back to the show. Come on, Hassie, let's get into a little autoflowers, man.
Okay, let's talk pros, cons, and why are we even talking about autoflowers? Because you really don't grow them that often.
You know what? I did. Last harvest, I threw 3 autoflower seeds in my veg tent, and as everything else vegged, these things vegged, and then they flowered up without changing the light cycle or anything. It was neat, but there's definitely a couple caveats with them.
Okay, so you just kept them in veg the whole time, and they flowered, they harvested. Yep. You never had to switch your lights over.
So what autoflowers are is they're non-photo period dependent, meaning we talk about 12 hours on, 12 hours off, turns the plants in the flowering mode, right? Mm-hmm. It's that signal that they need from the light. Let's go photo period plant. Autoflowers are not like that. They just grow and are determined by time. Maybe 90 to 100 days. These things go from seedling to harvest in that quick.
And the same light the whole time, because you never moved them out of your veg. You kept them under the full veg light the whole time.
Correct. So now we think about DLI and how much light can these things absorb. So we can think about it, even if you have less light intensity, if you're running them 24 hours a day, that plant is going to hit its DLI. It should do a bit better. So something like autoflowers, less light intensity, you don't have a lot of room.
What I liked about it is I've only got one grow space at home. I've got one grow tent.
Sure.
And if I've got autoflowers, what dawned on me is I could have some that are ready to pull and in flower, and then I can throw some new ones in veg, and I can have them both under the same light, and they'll be both where they need to be.
Yeah, you're saying in flower and veg, those are the stages of growth, but let's just pretend you got one grow tent. You've got a 4x4 grow tent, let's say. Well, you can put one of these in per square foot, so you put 4 in there, and every 2 weeks, what would it be, 3, 6, 9, 12? Every 3 weeks, you put one in, and every 3 weeks, you take one out. There's your perpetual harvest in a 4x4 grow tent.
Made simple. So let's talk about why these plants do this, because this is kind of a new technology, kind of.
It's not a new technology. It's a new species. It's cannabis ruderalis, cannabis indica, cannabis sativa, cannabis ruderalis. Totally different species. Comes from Eastern Europe, Russia area, and it has that non-photo period dependent quality about it. It will just flower up. Doesn't matter how much light it gets. So the trick is crossing them. We're going to cross the non-photo period dependent ruderalis.
Real quick, that ruderalis one, that one was like you couldn't smoke it to get a buzz.
Yeah, it was really low THC, very low THC. So what they're doing is they're taking that super low THC plant with that non-photo period dependent gene, crossing it with something really dank, and selecting for the genetics where you get something really dank that also has that autoflower gene. And it was a pain, by the way. Shout out my buddy Daz over at Night Owl Genetics. When he told me the work that he has to do for these, in a photo period, 2 photo periods, you take a dank mom, you take a dank dad, cross them together, and you see what you get. With autoflowers, man, you take your ruderalis and you take your photo period. I think the first run, the F1's 25% are autoflowers. You have to select for those traits, go back again. I mean, respect to the autoflower breeders. It is a lot of work.
That brings up one criticism
Sure.
that I've heard about autoflowers, because they're breeding them with a plant that doesn't have that psychoactive properties.
Sure.
I've heard that autoflowers are not as good as when you breed 2 dank plants together.
I mean, people will argue about that. I have only grown 1 set of autoflowers, so I'm probably not the right guy for that. God, it does make sense though, taking two crazy dank plants and crossing them together as opposed to one dank plant and one completely undank. Is that a word? Low THC or no THC plant. Of course, there's going to be a lot more breeding work that's going to go into, bringing all those traits together.
But then I've also heard fans of autos say that they're a lot better than they used to be.
Yes, definitely. There's people that are working the lines and definitely a lot better than they used to be. It's an evolving process.
Okay, let's talk about some of the cons to autoflowers. We've covered some of the pros.
Sure.
We've covered exactly what they are. Some of the things you don't like about autoflowers.
Yeah, okay, let's get into it, man. Consistency. It is hard to stay consistent when you're constantly working with those two strains and you're only getting 25% autoflowers and having to go back and do all that work. It just seems like it's harder to get consistent results. Out of the 3 autos that I grew, they grew very differently. One of them didn't like the environment it was in and yellowed up. Another one just grew crazy dank. The other one grew crazy dank as well, but it just looked like it was 3 weeks behind the others. So there was definitely some consistency issues. And by the way, the whole time I was doing that, I was having an 8-week flower cycle in the other room and just crushing it. So, that is one.
And those 3 different autoflowers, all from the same pack of seeds,
Same
all
pack.
from the same mother.
Yep. Same pack, same mother. Yeah, I guess
Would
so.
it be
yeah.
a mother?
Yep. I got a big one. This drives me nuts. You can't clone it. You can't clone a winner. If you've got something where you're like, dude, that is the keeper right there. Well, it's gone.
Oh, because it's an autoflower. If you clone it, the clone's going to start at the same place.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you clone a regular plant, that clone starts off at week 0. But if you clone an auto, it starts off right where the original plant was.
It has that internal clock going. It's not just something stored in the roots. It is throughout the plant's DNA. So, yes, if you, like people will say, oh, you can't clone an auto. Yeah, you can, but it'll just flower up the same time the other one is. It just doesn't reset the clock. So it's kind of a big deal.
Well, and the thing also that kind of sucks with, I get cuts from you. I know exactly what to expect.
Yes.
You can tell me, hey, this is going to do this. Make sure you set your VPD in your room like this. With autos, I never know what to expect. It's kind of going in blind.
It's true. I mean, I can tell you, hey, it's a light feeder. Hey, it's super apical dominant. So bend the stem over or make sure you super crop it or make sure that you prune it or train it or just leave it as one giant bud. There's all these instructions you get when you get a clone or recommendations. And you just don't have that consistency to be able to get that. And hey, the last thing about autoflowers that is a real downer to me is recovery time. You have to keep these things screaming with growth from day one. So I was just away for 3 or 4 days. If you come back and needed to be watered, if you came back and they were a little nutrient deficient in a photoperiod plant, you say, oh, these will be back in 5 days. If I need to trim them up and leave them for another 5 days in veg, it'll be like nothing ever happened. With the autos, you have seriously set that back. So there's no margin for error.
So with a photo plant, you want it to be as healthy as possible when it goes into bloom.
Of course.
And if it's not as healthy as possible, you can delay the veg a little bit. With these, because they pick when to veg, you have no control over that.
Exactly. When this thing flowers, it flowers, whether it's nitrogen deficient or looking great. Hey, but that is just my 2 cents. That is what I like about autos. That is what I don't like about autos. But what about you? Are you an auto grower? Did I miss something? Come on, let me know in the comments. And of course, if you dug this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this one with another grower you know, and check out the other couple of videos YouTube's recommended. We think you'll dig them.